Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. If you are just tuning in, we just finished talking about Victor Wembenyama, his electric performance against the reigning NBA champion Denver Nuggets and the best player in the world right now, Nikola Jokic, putting up nearly a quadruple-double on a night that they lose, but it's the talent that he flashes to be the best in the league. That really was my takeaway from that game. In segment one, we talked about the big news of the day. Blockbuster trade in the NFL. Stefon Diggs moving from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans with a 5th and a 6th round pick in exchange for a 2nd round pick. The Texans absolutely got a steal of a deal there. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that on the Bills side, trying to clear out some drama in the locker room. There was a lot of that between Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen, so maybe this will help them get better, but I'm not too convinced about that. In this segment, this third segment here, we are going to talk a little bit about Joel Embiid. He made his return from the torn meniscus last night against the Thunder, leading the 76ers to a win, a 4-point win. We'll talk about what this means for the Thunder, for the playoffs, for the Sixers as well as any other things that have to do with Joel Embiid here. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Leave a tip or donation. Once you do that, if you leave a message, it'll pop up on the bottom of the screen. We'll have a little discussion about what you said. That's right, you can control what we're talking about on the show. You ask a question, we'll answer it. All you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net and leave a question with a donation. We appreciate anything that you do give. Once again, that link to leave a tip or donation is gsmcpodcast.net. But like I was saying, we're going to talk a little bit about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid and his return to the 76ers lineup. He leads them to a 109-105 win against the fighting for the number 1 overall seed OKC Thunder. The Thunder, who are half a game behind Denver. They've clinched a playoff spot. The East, the part that the 76ers are fighting in is to get out of the play-ins. The 76ers are currently the 8th seed. They are a game and a half back of the Miami Heat, and they're 2 games back of the Pacers at 6. The Pacers right now hold that last playoff spot, and with Joel Embiid coming back, it kind of signals that the Sixers are going to do as much as they can to get out of those play-ins. I don't think they should be too worried about it, honestly. But they're trying to get out of those play-ins. They have 6 games left to do that. The Heat and the Pacers are the teams that they need to pass to get up there. And having Joel Embiid back is going to be a huge part of that. Having a guy like Joel Embiid who, for the first time coming back from injury, puts up 24, 6, and 7 to go with 3 steals. He played a really good game of basketball, coming off an injury that, it's not easy to rehab. Joel Embiid was talking about how much this injury sucked. He was saying stuff like it was depressing, super disappointing. And he's back. He loves basketball. He wants to win. He wanted to be back, so he came back. We talked a little bit about if he should come back before the playoffs a couple days ago. It boiled down to it's up to Joel Embiid because the Sixers have no leverage. But if they did, I'd wait until the playoffs start. But he's back. He's going to try and make a run. I don't know how much of a difference it's really going to make. It's not that the Sixers are so far off of the Pacers or so far off of the Heat that they can't do this. They could conceivably get all the way up to the 4th seed technically. They're only 3.5 games back of the Orlando Magic and the Knicks, who are tied for that four seed right now. They're only 3.5 games back. If they win and those other teams lose, there's no reasons why they can't make that up. It's not an impossible gap. You look at their schedule. They play the Heat next. That's tomorrow. That's going to be a game that's going to change the tides of that. After that, they have Victor Wembenyama and the Spurs, who we just finished talking about. Not an easy matchup. But then they have the Pistons, the Magic, who they're trying to catch, presumably, and the Nets. So they have 2 big games at the bottom here. They've got 2 games that are really going to make a difference in these playoffs. They can basically catch up to the Heat on Thursday, depending on what the Pacers do. And then they have the Magic, who they might be able to get to the 4. So having Joel Embiid back, it's not a bad decision, right? It's just out of an abundance of caution. Sometimes you'd like to have your guy be 100% healthy. Or maybe sometimes you'd like to have your guy who has a history of injuries kind of take it easy. But Joel Embiid kind of is holding Philly hostage in this situation. He comes back. He had a really, really solid game. Very happy for him that he's healthy. Happy that he's back in a good mental state, because he was saying that injury really got to him. So, but the fact that he did play was a little interesting, because less than 10 hours to the game, I saw something saying that he most likely was not going to play. He was most likely going to be listed as out for the game. But instead, the Sixers play him. He's such a big deal between for the Sixers when you have your top 5 player in the league guy out there. They're 27-8 this season when Joel Embiid plays. They're just 14-27 when he doesn't play. Joel Embiid is the engine that makes the Sixers go, and the one sad thing is I just don't see them as being good enough to really make a deep run in these playoffs. I know the Eastern Conference isn't particularly strong, but you have teams like the Celtics, who the Sixers can't beat even with Joel Embiid. You have the Bucks. Cleveland, even, I think, is not a great matchup for them. If they can't get out of the play-ins, it's not going to be a long tournament, and even so, I don't see them getting past the semifinals, the Eastern semis. It's just not something that seems like it's in the card for this team. This team has always struggled to get out of the semis, and I know they brought in shooting, a guy like Buddy Hield, who I do really love that pickup for them. I think that's something that they needed desperately, be able to space the floor. Tyrese Maxey is having an amazing season, and having Joel Embiid with his gravity, his gravitational pull, leaving those shooters open, it should be huge. It really should be. The East, while it's not super strong, you have a lot of really good teams in there that are going to be tough for the Sixers to compete against. The Bucks don't have that great a defense, but they do have a prolific 1-2 punch in Giannis and Dame. The Celtics are just an elite basketball team right now. Cleveland is really solid defense. The Knicks as well. It's going to be a tough matchup, whoever they draw, really. The Sixers are kind of stuck in that middle of the pack. Even with Joel Embiid, I think they're still in that kind of middle of the pack area in terms of Eastern Conference contenders. They're kind of they're on the upper echelon of that. But they are in that group with Cleveland, Orlando, New York, and the Heat even. So the Heat and the Sixers, I believe, are at the top of that tier. But you look at the standings, they're at the bottom of all of that. A lot of stuff goes into that, of course. But right now, I think that the Sixers are a top 4 team in the East, but I don't think they're anything more than that, even with Joel Embiid. It's going to be really tough. Joel Embiid wants to see winning, and he wants to win. I feel that. Philly needs to show that they can win. Philly needs to make a big make something prove something to Joel Embiid that he's not wasting his career in Philly. And I like some of the moves that they've made, but having Joel Embiid back is huge for the Sixers. I think with him back, they might be able to. I think they'll be able to get out of that play-in. We just went through their schedule. It's not the toughest schedule in the world, you know. Do I think they'll get as high as 4? No. But do I think they can get to 6? Absolutely. I think they can absolutely jump the Pacers. The Pacers have, not the easiest schedule down the road. They play the Nets, kind of a mid-level game. Thunder is going to be tough. The Heat's going to be tough. The Raptors, not that bad. The Cavs, once again, that's going to be a huge game for seeding. And then the Hawks. So it's not an easy schedule for the Pacers down the stretch. The Pacers they're a good team. They are, but the Sixers have an easier schedule, and they have the better player in Joel Embiid. So I think they can absolutely catch them. My prediction is the Sixers will end up at that number 6 seed in the East with Joel Embiid back now, which is pretty good. You don't have to participate in the play-in. You are a playoff team. You don't have to worry about all that, but that would have them play the 3 seed, which, if the season ended today, would be Cleveland. Not awful, not great. I think that'd be a fun matchup. I think Joel Embiid versus Jared Allen down low would be fun. I'm not sure how the outside matches up for the 76ers when talking about the guard play of the Cavs, but down low I think they have the advantage, definitely. That would be a fun series to watch. But yeah, that's where we kind of stand with the Joel Embiid Philadelphia 76ers issue. There's a lot going on there, but they do need this if they want to make that playoff push, and that seems like the route they're going to take. So I think they made the right decision bringing him back in. In our next segment coming up, we are going to transition out of basketball, talk a little bit about college sports. There was an announcement today that said Louisiana would officially ban prop bets on all college athletics. We'll talk a little bit about that. That was in response to the situation in the NBA with Jonte Porter and the Raptors. So we'll take a look at all that and more coming up next on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.